My girlfriend stole all my savings for a trip with another man. When I confronted her, she and her friends mocked me, so I got my perfect revenge, and now she's begging to get back with me. So Lola and I have been together for just over 4 years. We don't live together officially, but she stays at my place most nights since her apartment is a 40-minute drive from her job, and mine is only 15 minutes away. We've talked about moving in together for real next year. When my lease is up, at least that was the plan. We're both pretty average financially. We split most expenses. When we go out, take turns paying for groceries, and generally have what I thought was a fair financial arrangement. I've been saving up for the past year and a half for a security deposit and first month's rent on a better place when we move in together. It wasn't a ton of money, about $3,200, but it represented a lot of small sacrifices, packing lunches instead of buying them, skipping Starbucks, taking on a few extra weekend shifts when they were available last Friday. I went to transfer some money from my savings to my checking account to cover my car insurance payment. I opened my banking app and nearly dropped my phone. My savings account balance was $198, not the $3,200 plus it should have been. I immediately thought there was some kind of mistake or that my account had been hacked. I called the bank in a panic, and after going through security questions, the representative pulled up my recent transaction. There had been a withdrawal of over $3,000 3 days earlier. I hadn't made that withdrawal. The rep asked if anyone else had access to my account, and that's when my stomach dropped. Lola knows my phone password. I've never hidden it from her. We've always had an open phone policy. She's seen me enter my banking app password before. I never thought she would. I thanked the bank rep and hung up, then checked the security features on the app. The withdrawal had been made in person at a branch across town using my ID, except I hadn't been to that branch in months. Lola must have taken my driver's license from my wallet while I was in the shower or sleeping. I tried calling Lola, but it went straight to voicemail. I texted her asking where she was and if we could talk. She replied a few hours later saying she was out with the girls and would be back tomorrow. Something felt off about the whole thing. I spent the night tossing and turning, trying to come up with any explanation other than the obvious. Maybe there was an emergency. She hadn't told me about maybe. She was planning some elaborate surprise. Deep down, I knew I was grasping at straws the next morning. I checked her Instagram, something I rarely do since she barely posts. There was nothing new on her profile, but when I checked her friend Bella's stories, my world collapsed. There was Lola on a beach with her arm around a boy I'd never seen before. The caption read, "Day 2 of vacation vibes with these lovebirds." Lovebirds plural. I scrolled through more of Bella's stories and saw more pictures of Lola and this boy, Hugo. According to the tags, they were at a resort in Cancun, a resort that would have cost about $3,000 for 2 people. I felt physically sick for years together, and she stole my money to take another man on vacation. I sat on my bathroom floor for what felt like hours, alternating between crying and feeling completely numb. When Lola finally came home Sunday night, I was waiting. She walked in like nothing was wrong, tanned and smiling. Dropping her Hermes bag by the sofa, she greeted me casually and tried to kiss me, but I stepped back and confronted her about where she'd really been at first. She tried to stick with her story about hanging out with the girls, but when I showed her Bella's Instagram stories, her demeanor changed. Completely not to embarrassment or shame, just annoyance, like I caught her in a minor lie about eating the last cookie. Not betraying our entire relationship. She didn't even deny taking the money. She claimed it was a last-minute thing, and that Hugo had won tickets but needed someone to go with him. She said she was going to pay me back eventually, as if that made it okay. When I pointed out that she could barely cover her half of groceries most weeks, she got defensive. The part that really floored me was when she tried to downplay the theft by saying it wasn't like she'd taken my rent money. It was just sitting there. I reminded her that it was our future apartment money that I'd been saving for over a year, and she had the audacity to laugh and say we weren't going to find anything decent for just $3,000 anyway. When I asked if Hugo was her boyfriend, she hesitated just long enough for me to know the truth. Before denying it, she claimed he was just a friend, but we all know friends don't go on romantic beach vacations together. Throughout the whole confrontation, she was so dismissive, grabbing a glass of iced tea from the fridge, telling me she didn't want to fight about it, acting like I was making a big deal out of nothing when I called her out for stealing and cheating. She looked me dead in the eyes and said, this wasn't a mistake or a one-time lapse in judgment, this was who she was, someone who could steal from me, cheat on me, and then tell me to get over it, like I was being unreasonable. I told her to get out of my apartment. She tried to argue, saying his place was far away, and she had work in the morning. I told her that was her problem, and she should have thought about that before stealing my money and cheating on me. As she was leaving, she had the nerve to mutter that I was being impossible and making a big deal out of nothing. Her parting shot was telling me to keep the drama because Hugo wouldn't act like this. After she left, I collapsed on the couch, shaking. I've spent the last 2 days in a fog trying to process everything. I blocked her after receiving several texts, accusing me of overreacting and needing to calm down so we can talk like adults. I called out sick from work yesterday, and today I've barely eaten. I keep checking my bank account, hoping somehow the money will reappear, even though I know it won't. I don't know what to do now. Part of me wants to report the theft to the police. But we've been together for 4 years. Despite everything, the thought of her getting arrested makes me feel sick. But then I remember the look on her face when she told me to get over it, and I feel a different kind of sick. I called the bank again this morning, but since she had access to my ID and knew my passwords, they said it would be considered unauthorized use rather than fraud, and my best option would be to pursue it as a civil matter. I'm changing all my passwords, getting a new bank account, and planning to get my locks changed tomorrow. I don't think she'd try to come back, but I don't know who she is anymore, so I can't be sure. I don't even know what I'm asking for here. I just needed to get this out somewhere because I feel like I'm drowning. First update first. I want to thank everyone who commented on my last post. I honestly didn't expect so many people to respond, and reading your comments made me feel less crazy and alone. Several people asked for an update, and well, it's been a week since I kicked Lola out of my apartment after discovering she stole my savings to take Hugo to Cancun. The first couple of days were a blur of crying, barely eating, and obsessively checking my phone. Even though I blocked her, I kept thinking maybe she'd find some way to contact me and tell me this was all a huge misunderstanding. I went back to work on Wednesday because I couldn't afford to miss any more days. My coworker noticed something was off and asked if I was okay during lunch. I gave him the condensed version, and he was appropriately horrified. It felt validating to see someone else's shocked reaction that night. I got a text from an unknown number. It was Lola texting from her friend Melissa's phone, just as simple, "We need to talk." I didn't respond. An hour later, another text, "You're being childish, it's just money." I said, "I'll pay you back." I blocked Melissa's number too. Thursday was uneventful, but Friday is when things really went downhill, my friend. Callum invited me out for a night at a comedy club, insisting I needed to get out of my apartment. I was reluctant, but agreed because he was right. I've been alternating between work and hiding under my blankets, doom-scrolling TikTok and Reels. We went to this comedy club downtown that also has Trip on Fridays. I was actually starting to feel almost normal for the first time all week, laughing at Callum's terrible guesses during the music round. Then I went to the bathroom, and when I came back, I froze. Lola was there with Bella, Melissa, and 3 other girls from her friend group. They were at a table across the room and hadn't seen me yet. I immediately told Callum we needed to leave, but as I was gathering my jacket, Bella spotted me and headed over. Bella approached with this smug smirk, making loud comments about how I was crying over my piggy bank, and that Lola had been moping all week because of my overreaction. According to her, it wasn't like Lola spent my money on drugs, it was just a vacation with a handsome boy, and any girl would have done the same. I tried to stand my ground, reminding her that Lola had stolen from me, but Bella just rolled her eyes dramatically by this point. Lola had noticed the commotion and was heading over with Melissa and the others, effectively blocking our path to the door. Lola acted so casual, like we were bumping into each other at the grocery store. She kept insisting I needed to unblock her so we could sort this out, when I firmly stated there was nothing to sort out. She stole my money and cheated on me. Melissa and the other girls started snickering. Lola's defense was pathetic. She admitted taking the money without asking was wrong, but claimed it wasn't stealing, because we're together, and what's yours is mine. She insisted Hugo was just a friend, and that it wasn't a romantic vacation, because Bella and Melissa were there too. It was a group thing when I pointed out that Bella's Instagram literally called them lovebirds. Bella mumbled something about it being just a joke. That's when I heard a male voice behind me, and my humiliation reached a whole new level. It was Hugo asking if I was the one having a meltdown over a few dollars. When I tried to explain she stole my savings, he looked me up and down with his pitying expression, and called me addict for being this worked up over $2,000. I corrected her that it was actually $3,000 and had taken me over a year to save his response. He threw his head back and laughed, saying that was even sadder. I looked at Lola, waiting for her to defend me, or tell him to back off instead. She was staring at the floor with a small smile playing at the corners of her mouth. That's when it hit me. She told them all about this. They'd been laughing about it, about me, the boy who was stupid enough to get his money stolen, who was pathetic enough to be upset about it. Callum, bless him, announced we were leaving and pushed past Melissa. As we walked away, I heard more laughter behind us, and Hugo made sure I heard him telling Lola she dodged a bullet by not being with someone that financially unstable. I made it outside before the tears started. Callum hugged me while I tried to pull myself together, then ordered an Uber to take us back to my place. In the car, he told me Lola and her friends were always jerks, and he never understood what I saw in her back. At my apartment, Callum stayed over, we ordered pizza, and he let me vent. I showed him the text Lola had sent from Melissa's phone, and he helped me block a few more numbers. I hadn't thought of the next morning. I woke up to an Instagram DM from Hugo. I almost didn't open it, but curiosity got the better of me. The message confirmed my worst fears. He and Lola had been seeing each other for months. She'd been telling him that we were basically broken up and just roommates. He claimed finding out she stole my money was gross, but wanted me to know the whole truth, that this didn't start with Cancun. I took a screenshot and then blocked him. 2 months, all those late nights working the weekend, she was helping her BFF move the mysterious phone call she'd take outside. It all made sense. Now I showed Callum the message when he woke up. He wasn't surprised, pointing out that women like Lola don't suddenly decide to steal and cheat, they work up to it. We spent Saturday making a plan first. I called my landlord and explained the situation, asking if I could change the locks, since Lola wasn't on the lease. They agreed to send someone Monday morning. Then I went to my bank and opened a completely new account at a different bank, transferring what little money I had left. I changed all my passwords, set up 2-factor authentication on everything. Callum helped me go through my apartment, gathering anything Lola had left behind into a box. It wasn't much, some clothes, a toothbrush, a few video games, nothing worth fighting over. Sunday morning. I woke up feeling different, not better exactly, but clearer. The humiliation from Friday night still stung, but underneath it was something else. Anger, not the hot reactive kind from when first found out, but something colder and more focused. They thought I was pathetic. Fine, let them think that, but I wasn't going to just curl up and disappear. I spent Sunday cleaning my apartment, top to bottom, throwing out things that reminded me of Lola, rearranging furniture. It sounds silly, but it felt like reclaiming my space. I also made a budget plan to rebuild my savings. It would take time, but I'd done it before. This morning the locksmith came and changed my locks. I felt a weight lift off my shoulders, knowing Lola couldn't just walk in anymore. I went to work, and when I checked my phone during lunch, I had 3 missed calls from Lola, not from another number, but her actual number. I must have missed one when I was blocking people. I listened to the voicemail she left. Her tone had changed completely from Friday night. She sounded worried, almost panicked, saying we needed to talk because Hugo was saying some crazy stuff that wasn't true, or at least not all of it. She ended with, "I miss you." I deleted it without calling back. When I got home from work, there was a small envelope that had been slipped under my door. Inside was $400 in cash, and a note: "Starting to pay you back. Can we please talk?" $400 out of $33,000, and she thought that would fix things. I'm not sure what her game is now. Maybe Hugo dumped her after finding out she's a thief. Maybe her friends got bored of the drama and she has no one to hang out with. Maybe she realized living 40 minutes from work actually sucks, whatever it is. I'm not playing the Lola I thought I knew never existed. The real Lola stole my money, cheated on me for months, let his friends mock me, and stood by while her other boyfriend called me. Pathetic Callum's coming over again tonight to help me draft a text, making it crystal clear that we are done and she needs to stop contacting me. He also suggested I document everything in case I need to get a restraining order, which feels extreme, but after the last week, I wouldn't put anything past her. I'll update again if anything significant happens. Second update, thank you all for the overwhelming support on my previous posts. Reading your comments has been both comforting and eye-opening. Many of you asked for another update, so here it is. It's been almost 2 weeks since the bar incident where Lola, Hugo, and their friends humiliated me. Since then, Lola has escalated her attempts to contact me. The $400 she slipped under my door was just the beginning. She'd shown up at my workplace twice. I had to tell my supervisor about the situation, which was more defying. Sent flowers with apology notes, and even had her mother call me. I didn't answer last Thursday morning. I woke up to find my car had a flat tire at first. I thought it was just bad luck, until I noticed a small puncture that looked deliberate. I can't prove Lola did it, but the timing feels suspicious. I was already running late, so I had to call an Uber to get to work and deal with a tire later. Just another expense I didn't need. That was the final straw. After work, I went straight to Callum's place. Instead of going home, I was afraid Lola might be waiting at my apartment, and I needed space to think. Callum made us dinner, and we sat down to figure out a real strategy, not just blocking her and hoping she'd go away, but a comprehensive plan to extract her from my life permanently. You need to think of this like a chess game. Callum said she's made her moves. Now it's your turn. I've never been good at chess, but I understood what he meant up until now. I'd been reacting to Lola changing my locks after she tried to come over, blocking numbers after she contacted me. I needed to be proactive instead of reactive. We made a list of everything I needed to do. Move out completely while Lola is at work. Financial disentanglement document everything. Contact her family. Reach out to mutual friends. Prepare for potential escalation. The next morning I called in sick to work. I felt bad about it, but I needed a day to put my plan in motion first. I called my landlord and explained the situation in more detail. To my surprise, he was incredibly understanding. He agreed to let me out of my lease with just 30 days. Notice, instead of the usual 60. Next, I went to my bank and spoke with a manager about my accounts. I'd already opened a new account at a different bank, but I wanted to make sure there were no lingering connections. I also checked my credit report to make sure Lola hadn't opened anything in my name. Thankfully, she hadn't gone that far. I spent the afternoon making a detailed inventory of everything in my apartment, taking photos of my possessions. I separated things into categories: stuff that was definitely mine from before, Lola things we bought together, and items that were clearly hers for the joint purchases. I made notes about who paid for what that evening. I started packing up my essential items, important documents, sentimental belongings, and enough clothes for a week. Callum helped me move these to his place for temporary storage. The next big step was contacting Lola's family. This was the part I dreaded most. Lola is close with her parents, especially her mum, who had always been kind to me. I drafted and redrafted a message to her, trying to find the right balance between informative and accusatory. In the end, I kept it simple and factual. I explained that Lola had taken money from my account without permission, used it to go on vacation with another man, and that when confronted, she had been dismissive and cruel. I included screenshots of my bank statement showing the withdrawal, Bella's Instagram posts from Cancun, and Hugo's message confirming they'd been seeing each other for months. Her response came the next morning. "I've raised Lola better than this. I'm so sorry for what you're going through. I'll be speaking with her." I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. She believed me. I hadn't realized how much I needed that validation until I got it. The next part of the plan was trickier, reaching out to mutual friends, Lola and I. I share several friend groups, and I knew I needed to get ahead of whatever narrative she might be spinning. I decided to start with our most mutual friend Stacy. She's known Lola longer than me, but she's always been I asked if we could meet for coffee and she agreed. At the cafe, I gave her the condensed version of events, showing her the same evidence I'd sent to Lola's mum. Her reaction surprised me. I knew something was off, she said. Lola has been acting weird for months, making excuses not to hang out with the old group, and last week, she was asking if anyone could loan her money for rent. That was news to me. Rent. She's never had trouble making rent. Before she said something about unexpected expenses, I guess a trip to Cancun would qualify before we left. Stacy promised to set the record straight with our other friends. Not everyone will believe it, she warned. Bella and Melissa are too far up Elle's bum to see reality, but most people will understand over the next few days. I continued executing my plan. I found a small studio apartment across town that I could afford on my own. The landlord agreed to a 6-month lease, and I could move in the following week. I also contacted my phone provider and changed my number. I sent the new number only to people I trusted completely. Callum, my family, a few close friends, and my supervisor at work. The hardest part was going back to my apartment to pack everything else. I chose a Tuesday when I knew Lola would be working a double shift at the warehouse. Callum and Stacy came to help. Along with Stacy's brother's pickup truck, we were almost finished when my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Heads up, Lola just left work early, said she wasn't feeling well. It was from Jerry, a guy who works with Lola. We met at a company picnic last summer. I hadn't even thought to warn him about the situation, but apparently Stacy had reached out to him. My heart started racing. We still had at least another hour of packing to do, and Lola could be here any minute. We worked in tense silence, throwing things into boxes without much organization. We had just loaded the last box when Lola's car pulled into the parking lot. Stacy quickly got into her truck and I jumped into my car. As we pulled out of the parking space, Lola spotted us. The look on her face as she realized what was happening: confusion, then shock, then anger. Is something. I'll never forget. The rest of the day was a blur of moving boxes, assembling furniture, and jumping. Every time my phone buzzed, Lola had somehow gotten my new number and was sending a stream of texts ranging from apologetic to angry to pleading. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I took screenshots and added them to my growing folder of documentation. That night, sleeping in my new place, I felt strangely calm. The apartment was bare bones. Just a mattress on the floor, boxes everywhere, and the fridge empty except for a pizza box and some soda can. Stacy had brought over no memories of Lola, no wondering if she'd show up unannounced. The next morning, I woke up to a voicemail from Lola's mum. She sounded tired and sad. Lorraine, I spoke with Lola. She admitted everything. I don't know what to say, except I'm so sorry she wasn't raised this way. If you need anything, please let me know. It's been 3 days since the move. Lola's attempts to contact me have become less frequent but more desperate. Yesterday she emailed me saying Hugo had broken things off with her after finding out the whole story, and that she realized what a mistake she'd made. I didn't respond. I'm still staying with Calcayennes, only going to my new place to grab clothes or other necessities. I'm not ready to fully settle in yet, partly because I'm still organizing everything, but mostly because I'm afraid Lola might somehow find out where I live. The whole situation is exhausting and scary and sad. Last update. Hey everyone, it's been about 3 weeks since my last update, and a lot has happened. First, thank you all for your advice and support. Reading your comments has helped me stay strong when I've been tempted to respond to Lola. Several people suggested getting a security camera for my new apartment. I took that advice and ordered an inexpensive doorbell camera from Amazon after I moved out, and contacted Lola's family and friends. There was radio silence from her about 4 days at first. I was relieved, thinking maybe she'd finally gotten the message and was moving on. I should have known better. The silence broke last Monday morning. I was getting ready for work when my phone buzzed with a text from yet another unknown number. I know you're reading these. You can't just throw away for years. We need to talk. I blocked the number without responding by lunchtime. She'd found another way to contact me, this time through a fake Instagram account. The message was longer, but essentially the same. I was overreacting. She made a mistake. We could work through this. What struck me was how there was still no real arcane of what she'd done. No, I'm sorry I stole from you, or I'm sorry I cheated on you for months, just I made a mistake, like she'd forgotten to take out the trash that evening. Stacy texted asking if I wanted to grab dinner. She'd been checking in regularly. Since helping me move over some Korean barbecue, Stacy filled me in on what she'd been hearing through the grapevine apparently. Lola's life was starting to unravel. Hugo had broken things off completely after learning the full story from multiple sources. He'd been under the impression that Lola and I were basically roommates who occasionally hooked up, not a committed couple of 4 years. Lola's parents had cut her off financially. I hadn't known they were helping her with bills. But apparently they'd been covering her car insurance and phone plan. Bella was still hanging out with Lola, but most of our other friends had distanced themselves most significantly. Lola was struggling with rent. Her apartment was always more expensive than mine, and without my place as a crash pad closer to work, she was spending more on gas, plus she'd blown through her savings on the Cancun trip. The next morning, I woke up to an email from Lola's mum. She wanted to meet for coffee, to return some of my things that had been at their house. When I arrived, she was already there looking tired with dark circles under her eyes. She apologized for Lola's behavior and mentioned she had moved back home temporarily because she couldn't afford her rent. She wasn't handling it well, angry at everyone, and not understanding that these were the natural consequences of her actions. Before we parted, she hugged me and told me I deserved better from her. I cried in my car afterward, not for Lola, but for the relationship I thought we had, for the future we planned for the person I believe she was. The next few days were relatively quiet. I settled into a routine at my new place and started rebuilding my savings. For brief stretches, I would forget about the whole Lola situation. Then Friday happened. I was at the grocery store when I spotted Melissa watching me from the end of an aisle. My stomach dropped. If Melissa was here, was Lola nearby? I headed for the exit and nearly collided with Bella in the parking lot, surprisingly. Bella apologized for her behavior at the bar that night. She admitted Lola had told them we were on the rocks and that the money was partly hers anyway. When I asked what prompted this change of heart, Bella revealed that Lola had been behaving strangely, angry all the time, borrowing money without repaying it, even getting drunk and breaking plates on purpose in Melissa's apartment. Most concerning was that Lola kept talking about me like I was coming back any day now. When I got home, there was a package leaning against my door with my name in Lola's handwriting. Inside was $500 in cash and a rambling letter, jumping between apologies, explanations, and pleas for another chance. She mentioned selling her gaming console to start paying me back, and that she'd been to 2 therapy sessions. Later that night, my phone rang with an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. It was Lola, slurring her words. She asked if I'd received her package and mentioned taking a side gig with DoorDash to pay me back. When I confirmed I had, her tone turned desperate. She rambled about everything falling apart, her parents treating her like a teenager, Hugo refusing to speak to her friends, thinking she was in a hole. She insisted people make mistakes and that I couldn't throw away for years over one mistake. I pointed out it wasn't one mistake, but a series of deliberate choices. She began crying, begging for another chance. I simply said goodbye and hung up, blocking the number. Within minutes, my phone was buzzing with voicemails from other numbers. The first few were tearful pleas, but the later ones were angry, almost frightening. The final voicemail, left at 3:33 a.m., was just Lola screaming incoherently, with phrases like "ruined my life" and "never loved me," before devolving into unintelligible yelling. I saved all the voicemails and sent them to Callum and Stacy. The next morning, I received a text from Lola's mum, apologizing for her behavior. She said they'd taken her car keys and were looking into more intensive help for her. It's been 2 days since the voicemails. Lola hasn't tried to contact me again. But I'm still on edge. I've been staying with Callum again, just to be safe. I don't know what happens next. Either way, I'm not going back. Not after everything that's happened. Not after hearing that voicemail. That's all for today. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment your favorite part of the video. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more story like this.